Yeah, so this has been a football-heavy SportsMax Zone show. The Jamaica Premier League ended its 9th round of matches with the usual Monday night doubleheader. Lennox Aldred rounds up the action from Sabina Park.
The home of cricket in Jamaica, opened its doors to welcome Monday night football in the JPL as match week 9 drew to a close with a pair of intriguing fixtures. First up, Malines United and Harbourview, two teams desperate to register their first win of the season and move themselves clear of early season relegation trouble. And it was Malines who had the brighter start, gifted a chance to take the lead, a chance that Jeremy Nelson would not pass up from the penalty spot. Harbourview tried their best to ramp up the pressure, but against the run of play, another Malines talisman, their skipper, Jason Wright, slotted home following a slick team move. Malines then began what can only be called an epic implosion, first leaving acres of space for Shaquille Bradford to tap home and make the score 2-1. Then a pair of teammates showed indiscipline, with Richard Gooden in the 80th and Sergina Frankson in the 90th minute, both receiving red cards, leaving Malines down to 9 men. And Harbourview took advantage of this, with Bradford again on hand to save a point for the Stars of the East. Final score in this one, 2-2. Next up, a huge one, a repeat of the JPL final last season. Cavalier taking on reigning champs Mount Pleasant. The champs showed their credentials early and created many decent chances, but they had to wait for the 51st minute to open the scoring, Romeo Guthrie getting on the score sheet. 8 minutes after this, Mount Pleasant must have thought their night was about to get much easier, with Cavalier defender Giovanni Leng showing a red card. But the Rudolph Speed team had other ideas and used set pieces to get back into the game. First, Shaniel Thomas won and converted a penalty to bring the scores level in the 74th minute. And then, Damaro Calvin headed home from a peach of a corner delivery to give Cavalier the lead. And that is a lead they would keep till the end of this one. Cavalier the first team to beat Mount Pleasant this season. Here's how those results leave the table looking. Mount Pleasant still comfortable in the first spot, but Arnett and Tivoli looking to make a surge. Cavalier now into the top 6 with a few games in hand on their counterparts, while at the bottom of the table, Harbourview, Limehall and Malines still the only winless teams left in the league.
Yeah, so joining us to further break down the action, our in-house football analyst, Lige Williams. Lige, let's start with the Mount Pleasant result there. They were beaten for the first time this season, and the best unbeaten run in the Premier League now snapped by a team that they had beaten in the final last night. But somehow, Theodore Whitmore in the post-match interview I saw with him that you did, he didn't look overly concerned, did he?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just a regular season. There's nothing to be too concerned about, and his team played well.
I thought so, yes.
Yeah, he was undone by 2 set pieces as well. So I do think that only 9 games in 8 games in the case of Mount Pleasant, there's nothing to be overly concerned about. I think that squad-wise, they still have some of the best players in the league. I've talked about their midfield also. I think is really good. Romeo Guthrie got a goal last night. They're terrorizing on the wings. Kimoni Bailey is injured, unfortunately, but Devante Campbell, I think, has been one of, if not the best player in the league so far this season. So there's nothing really to be concerned about. And if we know Mount Pleasant, we know that we're going to expect some even more players to come in January as well. So if I were them, as they are very calm about it, so I would be as well. It's really about everyone else trying to catch up to them, and let's see if they can do it.
Yeah. Kudos to Cavalier, though, because to come from behind and beat Mount Pleasant short-staffed was good energy from Cavalier, and especially coming from their Caribbean Cup loss to Robin Hood of Suriname in the past week. It was an illustration of the team's character.
Yeah, I'm sure that they would have wanted, for both of the reasons that you mentioned, one, that Mount Pleasant beat them in the Jamaica Premier League final, and also the Robin Hood result. I'm sure that they would have wanted to really, rebuff themselves and really get back into the flow of winning. And, although that the odds were stacked against them, they came back and they did it, in a very Cavalier way, grinding it out. So I think that they have a lot to say about the league title this year again. They're going to be losing some players. As Rudolph Speed was on the show last week, he mentioned that they'll be losing some players, potentially losing Shaniel Thomas, who scored last night, a very influential player for them, maybe a couple of others, and they'll be replacing them with youth. I think as long as they get those youth players acclimated into the setup relatively quickly, and they have been around the setup for a while now, so I think that they will do that because they're all extremely talented players. I think that they'll return to the playoffs. They're in 6th already, 3 games behind some teams. So I think they'll comfortably make it into the playoffs. It's just whether or not we see them right at the top challenging for not only the Jamaica Premier League but also the Link Up as well.
Yeah, and talk to me about that 82nd Jalmaro Calvin winner, the quality.
Yeah, no, it was an excellent. I said it's a very Cavalier way to win. I didn't mean it necessarily from the point of view of, snatch
No, but you
and
have
grab.
to explain to me what's a Cavalier way to win, because,
It's
I
just-
mean, you
it's
go
just
to the
grind.
football every week. I don't.
It's just grinding it out, and they have a lot of quality from set pieces. Christopher Ainsworth, one of the best dead ball techniques in Jamaica as well. So I do think that, how Cavalier do it is grinding things out, being very stout defensively, and they did that. They got the win. So, yeah, that's the Cavalier way, just
it.
being there, being in and around things,
Yeah.
and getting stuff done.
Yeah, Cavalier have always had that focus on youth, and we saw that again last night. Xavier Gooden coming on. Of course, they have Adrian Reed in the setup as well, another teenager. And we just continue to see the belief in the development of these youngsters playing at this level.
Yeah, and that's what got them to this level in the first place. So I didn't see a reason for Rudolph Speed to deviate. It's not as if they're one of the more wealthy clubs in the Jamaica Premier League either. So they have to rely on youth, and lucky for them, they have a coach that is really good at developing youth and a coaching setup that's really good at developing youth, because you mentioned Xavier Gooden, who I think is one of the best defenders in schoolboy football for a couple of years now. Adrian Reed, who was the captain of St. George's, who went to the semi-final. Ronaldo Barrett, the captain of Hydel, who went to the final. Keane Jackson. The names just really continue to reel off, and these are high quality players who are not only good technically, mind you. If you see them outside, you're not going to think that they're 16, 17, 18 either. They're extremely physically built, and I think that's going to help them really get into the flow of things in the league. We saw that with Adrian Reed, especially last season when he came in at a really tough time when they lost Richard King, and he replaced him really admirably, and they went on to go to 2 finals. So I think all of these young players will come in and do a really good job for Cavalier.
Yeah, well, we've got to leave it there then, Lige, because a lot more of the Jamaica Premier League sponsored by Ray and Nephew to come. We're just about a third in the regular season, so a lot more football to talk. And that's our show for today, actually.
Yeah, so I get to tell the viewers goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, with the very best in the world of sports. Have a beautiful evening. I'll see you tomorrow.
Agent